The right to an abortion in Canada is not written into legislation. It's just the court interpreting the Charter of Rights. And every single member of the Conservative Party who's an MP in the past has either expressed their desire to ban abortion outright or they've been supportive of their colleagues who have expressed this desire. And I don't think people in Canada realize just how fragile this right is and how long it took, what a fight it took to ensure that it was a right for women to have control over their own bodies in our country. And the concern I have is that as generations go on, they seem to be willing to give up this right. They don't realize that this is something you have to fight for. Americans had that right for 50 years. They had the right for 50 years. They had women had the right to control their own reproductive autonomy, and now we've seen in less than a decade it completely fall apart. Roe was in the early 1970s, and those Supreme Court justices who were appointed by Trump all, were cross-examined essentially during their confirmation hearings, and they all said, oh yeah, this is established law and we're going to protect it. And yet they just completely threw it out. Well, it's the same with the Conservatives, right? If you elect the Conservatives, Pierre Poilievre has already said that he will use the notwithstanding clause. He'll use it to take away rights. That's what Conservatives do. They take away rights. They always say that they're the ones to protect rights. Oh, we're going to protect freedom of speech and so forth. They only want to protect hate speech, and they take away rights. And that is one of the rights. And take a look at the Conservatives. This election and every election that we have in Canada, every federal election, abortion is an issue on the ballot, because if the Conservatives end up with a majority, particularly with these Conservatives, these are not normal Conservatives, these are not progressive Conservatives, they're regressive Conservatives. This is the Reform Party taking over the Conservative Party and supplanting the moderates. The moderates went over to the Liberals, right? The extremists ended up in the Conservative Party. These people will take away abortion if they have a chance to do it. And there's so many situations where a woman may be looking at a circumstance where they're pregnant. It might be from a violent relationship. It might be from a rape. It might be from, just you're really, really young and you made a mistake. Your contraception failed or something like that. And, it can fundamentally destroy your life and make a miserable life for that child if you end up proceeding with the pregnancy. And, Henry Morgentaler went to jail in order to ensure that women would have this right. And it's something that has been fought for in many different places around the world. And it only exists in a certain number of countries in the world where women have control and the right to choose about their own body, about whether or not they should be forced to have a baby or be allowed to make that decision to end that pregnancy early on. And we run that risk, the real risk in Canada. If the Conservatives are elected, they will pass a law. There will be a law banning abortion. They'll start putting restrictions on it. That law will face a challenge, and the Conservatives will use the notwithstanding clause, or they'll write it into the legislation. They can say, we're doing this, and the notwithstanding clause applies in this circumstance. The notwithstanding clause is basically a provision of the Charter of Rights that lets them suspend one of your rights for a limited period of time, but then they can do it again. And the federal government has never done it. The federal government has never used the notwithstanding clause, and they shouldn't. The Charter of Rights is there to protect our rights. But the Conservatives have said, Pierre Poilievre has said that he would, and the Conservatives have overwhelmingly, in their party, support for bans on abortion. And if they are elected, especially with these right-wing nut jobs that are in that party right now, these are QAnon weirdos, right? These are people who are just detached from reality. They will make a ban of some sort on abortion, and if they can get that first one through, they'll go for the next one, the next one, the next one, and you'll just watch the degradation of your freedoms. And once again, if you are a man looking at this, you should be thinking to yourself that the degradation of your fellow humans' freedoms is a degradation of your freedoms. And if you think they're just coming for you, they're coming for you next, right? Because once you've got a government that is bent on taking away rights, it's not just going to be the rights of one group of people, it's going to be the rights of the next group of people. And so women are the first target here by these again, right-wing nut jobs, the Conservative Party members. And after that, it's going to be something else and something else. And there's a historical precedent. We know this is how it plays out. So this election, like every other federal election, only worse because of the quality of the people who are running on the other side, is an election about abortion. And the way to protect the right of women in Canada to be able to have control over their own reproductive rights and their own bodies is to vote for parties that are opposed to them. I'm supportive of the Liberals because the Liberals are the most likely to be able to form a majority and be able to do this, among other things. But just remember what the Conservatives are all about. They are about taking away rights, including the right to abortion, which is a fragile right, as we can see in the U.S. It's fallen apart there, and it just as easily can fall apart in Canada, and that is what they're hoping for. They don't want to discuss it. They don't want to bring it up, and they always want to deny it. But if you look at their voting record, and if you dig down into their candidates, that's what you discover. That's what the Conservatives are all about.